let's talk about trash in space. Can you pull that back a little bit? All right, so let's talk about trash in space, or space debris, which the UN defines as any man-made objects in Earth's orbit that are non-functioning. Now, keep in mind that humanity has been launching man-made objects into orbit since 1957, and the majority of those objects have not come back down to Earth. Now you're probably thinking, how does this affect my life? How do dead satellites have any bearing to anything in my day-to-day? Well, you'd be surprised at how much damage these guys can do. Brian Dunbar of NASA says the average speed of an object in orbit is 15 kilometers per second. To put that in terms that are familiar, that is an equivalent of 33,554 miles per hour. Richard Cromworth says that at that speed, an object the size of a quarter has the same impact force as a small bus traveling at 100 kilometers per hour. So basically, whatever a piece of space debris hits, it destroys. And this actually happened relatively recently in 2009 when the American satellite Iridium 33 impacted with a dead Russian satellite called Cosmo 2251. According to Richard Klima, when these two satellites impacted with each other, they fragmented into more than 823 objects. Now, these objects spread out across several different orbits and threatened several different satellite systems, including the ISS, which actually had to move its position because a piece of debris from the crash was going to hit it, and there was a threat to everybody that was on board. So, these 823 objects are not the only ones that are up there. Shenyan Chen explains that around 700,000 objects of space debris are orbiting around the Earth as we speak. And those are the big ones that we can actively track. Now, these objects can't be controlled, they can't be moved out of the way, and the majority of them cannot be actively tracked on a constant basis. So, if one of these untracked pieces hit an active satellite, then there is a chance that a chain of events would occur called a Kessler syndrome, where one satellite explodes and turns into a debris cloud, another satellite explodes and turns into a debris cloud, and on and on and on. And if this were to happen, then our society as we know it would come to a standstill. We rely on satellites. We live in an age of connectivity, where satellites play a massive role. Everything from internet, GPS, cell service, weather monitoring and tracking, to TV is affected by satellites. Even our military uses satellites for communications, defense, both border and missile, and for intelligence gathering. So what is being done to fix the problem? Because it is a very real danger to us. Well, unfortunately, not much. Most aerospace agencies continue to send objects into orbit. Alexandria White explains that in 2017 alone, commercial companies, military and civil departments, and amateurs lofted more than 400 satellites into orbit, and that's just last year. So we're just adding to the problem. So again, what can be done to fix this? Well, agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency do take space debris very seriously because it is an active threat to satellites and it's their job to protect them. Unfortunately, the best way that NASA and the European Space Agency can defend against orbital debris is just by moving satellites out of the way. Now, you'd think that that is the best option and the logical thing to do. However, it is not. It's the most inefficient means of protecting satellites, because when you move a satellite, it costs an inordinate amount of money and it drastically lowers the lifespan of a satellite. However, there are other options that have been considered, like sending missions up to collect larger pieces of debris and bring them back down to Earth, or find a way to push them into the atmosphere where they burn up, or my favorite one, where they use a giant laser to heat up the debris and push it away from the Earth. So these options all sound like something that larger agencies should be handling, not regular people like us. And frankly, they are. But those bigger agencies only survive because of support from us regular people. And that is the best way to help this problem right now, is by simply spreading the word. I mean, how many of you knew that there was a giant junkyard floating above your heads right now? Exactly. So go out and spread the word. Because once a issue gains traction, once it has more voices behind it, it can be addressed and fixed. So go out, tell the people that the sky is going to fall. Tell them that one day you may not be able to send your favorite memes to your friend one day because there is a giant mountain of trash floating above your heads.